Yo YouTube! This is my video for Friday the 28th of March. The time is now 6:42 in the morning, would you believe? I never knew this existed this time. At least it's light, and I'm on my way to my first of so many pickups today. I'm going to be rushed off my feet. I'm picking up from Peterborough, which is about half an hour away from here, a bit more than half an hour, 20 miles away from where I am at the moment. And I'm taking a short wheelbase van load to Rugby, which is 57 miles loaded, 5.7, and I'm getting £75 for that, £75. So that's not a bad price considering the climate we're working at the moment, and I'm going to get myself into a good area for work, in theory at least, and I've left the house early, which means I've got a good head start for my second job of the day. So all of those things are in my favour and means that I'm very positive today. And also it's Friday, and Friday tends to be a bit busier than the other days, so it's gotta be a good day today. I'm not even convincing myself, to be fair. Right, so we'll let you know how it goes, and I hope that you are doing really well. Cheers! Hello YouTube! I am on my way to my second of my 4 jobs that I'm going to have today. Absolutely certain of that. There's no way that can't happen. So it's now 9:40. I managed to arrive at my first drop off at 9 o'clock, exactly on time, and then I had to wait for half an hour for the guy to arrive who was off site at the time to come and help me offload. I think he's a contractor who doesn't work for the actual site, but he's working on site to do some repairs. So he arrived eventually, having told me he was going to be 15 minutes away. He was actually 25 minutes after that, and I do find that a bit silly. If you're going to be late, you might as well tell someone that you're going to be there 5 minutes after you think you're going to be, not 10 minutes before you actually are. So if I was in this situation, I'd have said to him, I'm really sorry, I'm going to be there about 1:30. And then when he arrived at just before 1:30, I'd have gone, oh, you're a bit early. Whereas I was thinking from 9:15 onwards, he's late, I don't know what time he's going to be here. So it seems to me to be really obvious. If you're gonna be late, if that's happening anyway, then it doesn't matter if you lie to someone about what time you're going to be there. You're going to be there the time you're going to be there. So you must just be honest and over-exaggerate a bit, because I've been there for half an hour, whether he's there when he says or not doesn't change what I do. So anyway, I'm not angry about it. He seems quite young, the guy, and he seemed like he wanted to sort of, I don't know, what am I saying? Didn't have a lot of common sense, I suppose, is what I'm thinking, because if he was never going to arrive at 15 minutes after the point he told me it's 15 minutes. So why tell me that? Why bother saying that? Because you're just going to frustrate the person that's waiting for you. And to me it's really obvious, but maybe it's what people do, I don't know. I'm sure lots of you wouldn't do that. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to be late in the first place, but if you are late, just tell someone 5 minutes after you're going to arrive, when you're actually going to arrive, you're going to be there, and then they're happy. Well, they're less annoyed than they would be, let's put it that way. They're not happy. Anyway, that's a long-winded explanation as to what happened. While I was waiting, I got another job, which is the one I'm doing now, and I'm picking up from Hinckley, which is half an hour's drive away, going back to Boston, would you believe? That's nice for me. It's 91 loaded miles. I'm 15 miles away from the pickup, and I got this job for a short wheelbase van for £80. And I had plenty of time because it's not picking up till 10:30. So even though I got it at sort of 9:15, I had at least 45 minutes before I had to leave to get to there on time. And I'm going to be there as it is at 10 o'clock, so hopefully they'll be ready, because then I'll be half an hour ahead, which will be really good. So yeah, 2 jobs. I'll be in Boston for about 1 o'clock, and we'll see what happens when I get there. Hopefully it's going to be a good day. It is Friday, it is the last day of the month, and it is the last day of the financial quarter and financial year for most companies. So maybe it will be really busy. When I was in rugby, there's quite a lot of work I could bid on. So it didn't take me long to find a job to bid on. So I think today will be a good day in terms of finding jobs. Oh yes, and also before I go, finally, for the first time in 2 years, I've had recognition for my professionalism and politeness fed back to me. Although I have got feedback that says the same thing. The shipper, I rang the shipper at the end because I was late. Sorry, because the guy was late coming to me, I rang them at the end to tell them I'd offloaded and I was off site. And then they said to me that the customer I collected from this morning had fed back to them that I was really professional and polite, and that they wanted to feed that back to me. And because of that, they were going to do 2 things. They were going to give me good feedback, and they were going to make a note on their system about my service, and then they would prioritise me in future if I bid on their work. So this is the first time I've had any actual recognition that a shipper actually values professionalism and politeness more than just getting the cheapest possible quote. So I've remembered their name. Hopefully something comes of it. Hopefully I will get more work from them. Hopefully it'll become more of a regular thing. The job I got today was from Peterborough, so that's very easy for me to get to in the mornings. And yeah, we'll see. That turns into anything. But if nothing else, it's the first time someone's actually verbally thanked me for being professional and polite. So that's always very nice. It makes my heart feel warm. Yeah, so that's that. I'll let you know how today goes, but so far I'm really optimistic. I'm just a little bit excited about today because I might have a good day. So it might just be, I'm going to make a bold statement here that I'm going to regret. I reckon, I'm 100% certain, absolutely no problem with this, that today is going to be the first day of a really good rest of the year. It's got to be, because it's the end of March, it's a nice sunny day, and it's a Friday and I feel good. So it must be something that continues every single day for the rest of this year. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's going to be a lovely, sunny, marshmallowy job for the next 9 months. Hooray! Hello YouTube. So I've now offloaded my job in Boston. I have to say I made a bit of an error on the way over here, but it didn't. All it caused me was a bit of frustration for being so stupid. And the error, I'll tell you what the error was. It was I needed fuel, and I have a fuel card which is cheaper at the moment, so I was trying to find the particular brand of fuel garages that deal with that fuel card. And so I did a route from Hinckley to Boston, and then on that map I put a search for this particular garage en route, and it brought me up a load of garages, and there's one that looked really close to where I was. So I only had about 35 miles left of fuel to go, so I thought I'll go there first. And I started heading towards it, and then I realised about halfway it was actually in the next town. It was in Nuneaton, and it was about 6 miles away, which looked tiny on the map when I looked at it, but actually it was heading in slightly the wrong direction, and that in itself was okay, but I was stuck in loads of traffic. So by the time I'd got my fuel, got back to where I started off, it was just gone 10:30, which, to be fair, was the original pickup time. So it's not like I was late. So I'd already picked up the load, went to get my fuel, came back towards Boston, and by the time I got back to where I'd started, it was 10:30. So it was a bit disappointing that I hadn't double checked how far I was going. I should have taken a garage on the way in the same direction I was going in. I could have started travelling, and 10-15 miles down the road I could have then looked for a garage, and hopefully I'll do that next time. Today it didn't make much difference. It hasn't made a difference to my day. It's just meant that it's been a long time since I last picked up. So it was a 2-hour journey to get to Boston from Hinckley, and that was before the fuel. And so once I got back to the 10:30, it was 12:30 before I arrived on the site. And the journey was fine. As I was driving down into Boston, which is where I am now, I was looking at the jobs. There's a job going from Boston to Leicester, which I bid on, but it was picking up between 11:30 and 1 o'clock. I bid on it about 12:30, and nothing came of that. I rang them, and they said it must have gone because it was 1:45 by the point that I'd done this. That's a shame that I didn't get that job, because it's the only job for today coming out of Boston at the moment, at least. So I dropped off my load, and then I've come up and parked up here, just down the road from where I dropped off, and I'm looking for a job. And there is at the moment nothing out of Boston, but the thing that's making me feel positive is that I'm actually the only active driver in Boston at the moment. So any job coming out of here, I should be able to win. There is another driver who is yellow on the... I'll put up a map so you can see what I'm talking about. There's another driver who's yellow, and they are a local Boston-based driver, and they are always yellow. So I'm guessing that they are available. And then the only other active drivers that are on there are the 3 drivers around Spalding and the one just east of Hull Beach. And all 4 of those drivers are actually based in their home locations, more or less. One of them's not quite, one of them's moved a bit, but all 4 of those are actually still at home looking for work. So if a job comes up from Boston, if I go reasonably cheap, I should get it. And the good situation here is now, if I don't get a job, I just go home. I'm only half an hour from home, and I've not made a bad day. I've made about £130 after fuel today. So if I do nothing else now, I'm okay. I could have a really early day, go home, or I could hang out here in Boston where there's no drivers, or very few drivers. And that's what I'm going to do for now. I'm going to hang around here for a bit. I'm really hoping that there's a reasonably regular job that goes from a small van job going from Boston to Stafford, or Uttoxeter, a very well-known place in that area. And I reckon I'm primely located to get that job. So that's what I'm hoping will come up this afternoon. And I'll put a bid on of £100 if it comes up, and I'll see if I get it. Right, okay, I'll let you know how my day goes. It's now 1 o'clock, and I've got a half a day to make £145 if I can. So hopefully that will happen. Hello YouTube, I'm still here. It's now 2 o'clock, and there has been no jobs that I could bid on for today anywhere near where I currently am. There's loads of jobs from Leicester and Nottingham. There's the odd job. I think there's 2 from Peterborough. Yeah, so it's not looking, at the moment, it's been an hour, not looking great so far. If I did get, let's say, a job to Stoke or Stafford, then it's probably going to be the last job of the day. So I'm beginning to think it's not worth doing that, just to drive back home empty. I've worked it out. If I go home now, which is 16 miles away, it's half an hour, I'll be home, and I would have earned £126 after fuel, 126, which isn't great, but it's probably not bad for half a day, is it really? So I'm tempted to go home now, but it is only 2 o'clock, so I'm going to give it another hour, I think, and then by 3 o'clock, if nothing's come up, I'll call it a day and go home. But I think that's my plan. I've done another screenshot to show you who's around. There's a few more drivers in Boston now, but they apparently are busy, although they may be delivering to Boston, so they may become active. I'll keep an eye out on those drivers. They're all reasonably local, I think, sort of Lincoln, Boston based people. There might be one or two that are from other areas. But at the moment, it's not looking as good as it was an hour ago, I must say. It's very quiet here. and there's more drivers who are at least hanging around, if they're not active or not. Okay, anyway, I'll let you know. Cheers, bye-bye. Right, it's now 2:15, and in that last 15 minutes I've got bored already and I'm going to go home. I don't think it's happening this afternoon. I may as well look for jobs from home. I know that once I get through the front door, which is half an hour from now, if I've not had a job, I won't be working this afternoon, because I'll get through the door, put take shoes off, and that'll be it. So I'm giving myself half an hour to look for a job on the way back. It also means I'll catch my partner before she goes to work. Should be nice, and then I shall call it a day if I don't get anything. So I'm going to assume that nothing comes up, and it's such a nice day. I mean, I'm not an outdoorsy person. We don't have a garden as such, so I'm going to go home, and if I don't get a job on the way back, I'll just spend the afternoon lazing about on the sofa doing nothing, or maybe even do some video editing. You never know. Maybe I should do that. Catch up with my video editing. Oh, wouldn't you believe it? Sod's law. When I decide to have a cheeky half day, as I'm halfway home from Boston, 2 jobs come up. One from King's Lynn going to Leicester, which was an hour away from pickup, but I put a bit on that. And one going from Boston to Huntingdon, which is not bad for me because it's not that far from home. So I put bids on both of them, and I thought, oh, I won't get them because there'll be other people around, but I got one, and it's the one from Boston. So I'm going back the way that I just came. I'm out. The only issue with this one is I'm approximately 10 minutes from the pickup point, so I'll be there at about 2:45. But I'm pretty sure it says pickup time is at 3:45 or 3:30, so I'm hoping they'll be ready earlier. Otherwise I'll be hanging around in Boston for about 3/4 of an hour waiting for them to get me loaded. It's a job I've done before, so I know where I'm going, I know what I'm taking. They're pretty friendly guys there, so I'll just go and tell them I'm here when they're ready, and then I'll wait for them. So I've got another job. It's 50 miles loaded for a medium wheelbase van. I've got it for £60, 60. So that pays a bit extra for my day. It'll probably mean that I'm going to be having a day roughly. I'll make about, let's say, 180 for today after fuel, I reckon. 185 maybe. So it makes today not a bad earning day, and I'm not going to be that far from home when I do offload, so I can't really set it down, can I? So it's a good job, really. So I appreciate getting this job, and I'm going back to Boston now. Okay, YouTube, it's now 4:40 and I'm going to go home from Huntingdon. It's about an hour's trip to get home, so we should be home way before 6. Hello YouTube, so it is now just gone 5:10. I've finished my job in Huntingdon. I'm back. I'm sort of 20 minutes away from home, but I have just one other job, which requires me going all the way back to Peterborough. So I'm going to go all around this roundabout. It's a bit of a rush job. I'm picking up from Peterborough, from sort of the south side of Peterborough, and I'm taking a load to Grantham, which is not that far from where I live. It's about half an hour from where I live. And so I put this bid on about 5 minutes ago. I said I was going to be at 25 minutes. They wanted to collect it before 5:30. And I came to the first roundabout, carried straight on. Second roundabout, carried straight on. And then I was on this road that I'm recording on now when they called me. So I had to wait till they get to the end of it to turn around to go back on myself. And the current ETA that I've got is exactly 5:30. So it's not as far as I thought it was going to be. And it sounds like I'm picking up from another van driver. and I'm taking a load, I said, from Peterborough to Grantham, which is about 23 miles. It's going to be a small van job, and I'm getting £60 for it, 60. So it's made my day a bit longer, but I have achieved the 4 jobs today now. It's twice now I've gone to go home, and when I've been within sort of 20 minutes of home, got another job today. So if only every day was like this, it'd be great. Yeah, so it's going to be, it's nice. It's over £2 a mile for that job, and it's not taking me a long way away from home either. So I'm pleased about that. There was a job from PE11, sort of between Spalding and Boston, going to Cambridge, and I was thinking of putting a £90 bid on that, but for that's about 65 miles. But I just thought it's a bit too far, because I'd end up in Cambridge an hour and a half from home, and I'll be getting home about 9. As it stands now, I should be getting home about 7, I reckon, maybe half past 7, and I've made an extra £60, so I'm pleased with that. Hello YouTube, it's now 6:30, and I am out of my comfort zone when it comes to working on the CX. I'm doing a job that I just do not want to be involved with. It's probably fine, but it's not my cup of tea, and I've just had to get it done, grit my teeth and get it done. So let me tell you the whole story from start to finish as a little bedtime treat for my community of insomniacs. So I was really pleased to get offered this job. I bid on it. There was a half an hour window to pick it up. I was driving away from the pickup point in Peterborough at the point that I put the bid on, and they wanted it collected within half an hour. And the only details I had was it's Peterborough to Grantham. There's nothing else. So I stuck in the end it's 29 loaded miles. So I stuck a basically £60 minimum charge for a van for my work on, thinking I might get it, but probably not. It's late in the day and I want to go home, and I'm almost home anyway, so I don't really care if I get it or not. It was advertised as a short wheelbase van job, and so I think I got it, and then I was sort of driving, as in my last clip, I was driving up one of the A roads, I think it was the A16 maybe, towards Spalding, and I turned around, I came back to Peterborough, and I told them they wanted me to be there on site before 5:33 according to the CX, and they asked me how long I'd be, and I said when I checked with the postcode, I said 20 minutes, and I actually arrived exactly at the time I said, at 5:30. And they checked when I was 10 minutes away how long I was going to be away. So obviously there's some urgency in this, but at this point I didn't know what it was I was doing. They sent me a text message saying to ring them on that text number when I arrived, which I did do. And they instructed me to drive up to this garage, and there's a man waiting there with some items by his bins. And I pulled up, 2 other guys came over, and they started loading up my van with these items. And these items, I couldn't work out if it was actually rubbish or what I think it actually is a house move. And I think I was taking the garden stuff for a house move. So it's all a bit. The whole thing, so from my point of view, I don't like to not know the specifics of a job before I'm going. At least, roughly, is it a box or a pallet or whatever. This was an unknown number of items that kept getting put into the back of my van. When my floor space was covered, I got back in the cab of my van and left them to it. I thought, because I didn't want to get involved anymore. And they kept putting more and more stuff in my van. The first thing I noticed is, no way on earth is this a short wheelbase van job. My van is full of what I can only describe as being crap. It's probably someone's treasured garden items, but there's loads of stuff in there. I'm not even taking a close look at it. I can't be bothered. And so I worked out, I'm probably doing a house move here, but I'm not going to be doing any house moving because that's not my job, and I can't do house clearance. So when I get to the other end, is there going to be someone there to take all this off? And for a fleeting second I thought, am I just going to end up with effectively a load of rubbish on my van, and they're going to say, ha ha, dispose of that yourself? But no, it wasn't like that in the end. So at the end of the loading up, they gave me an address which was different to the one on CX, and I then set off on my way to that address in Grantham. It was only about 32 minutes away from where I was. It wasn't any further than I was expecting. And I got about 12 miles in, and I texted the guy saying, do you want me to write a pod, or can I get the CX app signed at the other end? And the response I got back was, I need to give you some more stuff, can you come back? So I think he rang me as well, and because I said, well, it was a bit unclear whether he wanted me to come back or whether he wanted me to stay still. He was going to come to me. I thought he was going to come to me if I pulled over at services, but in the end he wanted me to go back to where he was. So he rang me and said, can you come back? And I said, yeah, but how much are you going to... He said I'll put some extra on the job. And rather than me being my usual trusting self and saying okay, I said, well, how much are you going to put on? And he said £10, and I said that's not enough. I want 20 for doing this. And then he ummed and ahed about it. He said, well, I'll pay you quicker. Rather than being 45 days, I'll pay you quicker. And I thought, rather than me arguing, because I'm driving away at the moment, still driving towards Grantham, I said, well, okay, why don't we compromise, make it £15? And I think £15 is very fair, because as it turned out, when I turned around on the A1 and went back the other way, I was 13 miles away from him. So that was 26 miles extra for me to drive, based on him forgetting to give me stuff. And secondly, it was 17 minutes. So to get myself from where I was back to Peterborough, load up with the items, and back to where I was when he called me, there's nearly 40 minutes of my time. So for 40 minutes and 26 miles, that's definitely worth £15. I think I've not done him on that one. I've definitely got what I think is fair, and to be fair, I think £20 is actually also a fair price for basically being messed around so much as I feel I have been. Now I wasn't aggressive, I wasn't rude, I was trying to be, I was frustrated, but I was trying to make sure I didn't make that clear in the way I talked to them. So I came back. I went back to them. The loading up was a faff, but I won't go into that. It was just ridiculous. So he put some stuff in my van. He asked me to give a bag to another guy that was going to be there. I checked with him. I said to him, can you add on £15 before I leave? And he said he would do that. I checked with him about the pod situation. He said it doesn't matter, just get it signed by somebody. He knows who's going to be there. Get a name for somebody. He knows who's going to be there. So I don't need to do a full-on pod. So he seemed to be reasonably grateful for me coming back. He seemed to be honest from what I could work out. But the thing is, I just don't like this kind of job. My van is full of, I don't know how many items. Usually I know how many items I'm taking. I write it down on my list. 6 items or 3 pallets. So I've got no idea how many items are on my van. It's basically full of what I would call junk. And it's obviously someone's treasured garden possessions. And I'm now going to have to get it offloaded. And hopefully there will be some guys at the other end to do that, because I sure as hell am not going to take this off my van. So I'm now due to get there at 7 o'clock, which is a lot later than I was expecting it to be. And I thought this was going to be a short wheelbase van job, nice and easy, Peterborough to Grantham, the hardest thing being the drive from Peterborough to Grantham. But it's turned out to be a lot more kerfuffle, a lot more hassle, And the only good thing about this is I am getting a fair amount of money for it. In total, we're getting £75, and I will have probably spent about 2.5 hours or so I've offloaded on this job, which is about right for £75, 2.5 hours work. It's just that it's last thing on a Friday, but I should be at home, so it should really be a bit more than that. But I'm fine if they offload me quickly and I get home. I'm okay with this in the end. But at the moment, I'm relying on someone else doing that. You know, I just leave. The reason why I'm sort of saying this in this detail is, for me, I'm really uncomfortable about this sort of job. It feels a little bit in the grey area of CX work. It feels a bit grubby, it feels a bit disorganised, chaotic I suppose. I've checked the shipper, they've got they're quite an old CX number, sort of 1500 and something, 15,000 or something, like 153 something, with 3 extra numbers on. But they have only got about 10 feedbacks for delivery and about 20 feedbacks for payment on the CX in the last 3 months, which means they don't really use CX very much. So I'm sort of don't really want to be involved in this sort of job. I sort of joined the CX. Part of the reason for me joining the CX is to know that you're working with reputable people who kind of are fully insured and fully documented. And I'm not saying they're not, but this is not the kind of job that I feel comfortable doing. And there's too many unknowns, you know. Was I going to be left with rubbish? Is it a house move? I wasn't told what it was. I assume it's a house move. Will there be people at the other end? Will the stuff that's been put on that looks like it's damaged, will I be blamed for that, even though it looks like it's damaged when it's put on? I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably being a bit too over dramatic about the whole thing, but that's how I feel. I do feel a bit uneasy, but I'll be glad when this job is done, and I'll be glad when I'm empty and I'm driving away from Grantham. At that point, I'll be happy. Right, hello YouTube. This is my last video for today. It's now 7:40 p.m. So when did I leave the house? Can't remember. Was it 12 hours ago? Oh, I don't know. I think it was an early start today, 6:45, yeah. So it was 13 hours ago that I left the house, and now I'm on my way home. I've got about 20 minutes drive, maybe half an hour, let's say half an hour to be on the safe side. And the first thing to say about this job is, now that I'm out, I'm a bit more calm about it, so I'm pleased. And also, it wasn't in Grantham at all. It was quite a long way out of Grantham, but luckily for me, it was along my route between Grantham and where I live. So actually, I'm only 15 miles from home now, so that was actually really good. If it'd been the other way, I'd been really annoyed if I was going sort of 15 miles away from Grantham in the opposite direction. So that's good. Now, I've got some stats for you now, so let me give you my stats for today. And actually, they look pretty good in the end. So, it's been an up and down day, I must say, up and down. This morning was very optimistic, but actually, I've done what I predicted, which is 4 jobs, and I've made a reasonable amount of money. So, here we go. 13.92 pence per litre is my new fuel rate, because I've filled up with fuel today, and it's gone up slightly as an average over the week. My number of miles travelled by the time I get home will be 368. I will have worked when I get home 13.25 hours, and I will have earned from 4 CX jobs £290, 290, and that's my gross earnings. My fuel for today is £51.23, so let's make that for £51, and that means that my net earnings today, after fuel taken into account, is £239, which is amazing. and I'm really pleased with that. It's almost back to my 250 levels, which was my original sort of target when I was doing this full time. When I was tramping and doing it full time, I was able to get 250 a day after fuel. So that's a really good. I can't remember the last time. That may well be the most I've done this year so far. So I've had a pretty good week in the end this week. It's been hard work today, I must say. I could have easily got. Well, I was going to go home on 2 occasions, but luckily I stayed out, and I feel it's worth it. Now that I've got the stats and now I'm on my way home. So that's it for today. I've got a job for Monday. It's only a little job, but it's in the bag. So I shall see you Monday. Thank you very much for continuing to stay with me and listen to my videos. I hope that you are all being successful. However you choose to define that word for yourselves. Farewell, friends.